Look, let's hold it too long. I know that I stand in between you and dinner. So let's do this. We're going to go to John chapter 19, beginning at verse 28. After this, when Jesus knew that all was now finished, he said, in order to fulfill scripture, I am thirsty. A jar full of sour wine was standing there, so they put a sponge full of the wine on a branch of hyssop and held it to his mouth. When Jesus had received the wine, he said, it's finished. Then he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. I am thirsty. If you could, just help me give my sermonic thought real quick and say neighbor. We're going to talk about an unquenched thirst. That's the wrong neighbor. Grab the other neighbor and say neighbor. Neighbor. We're going to discuss an unquenched thirst. So we're reaching the climactic end of this cross experience. Jesus is about to die. Having been beaten, bruised, abused, having sweat all of the liquid out, having bled all of the liquid out, we find Jesus. And one of the few moments that we find in all of Scripture, we find him in need. And Jesus says, I am thirsty. A relatable experience, because everybody at some point in time in your life has experienced what it feels like to be thirsty. If not being thirsty, to be in need of something to the point where you have to ask for it. It's thirsty. Now, in our modern context, thirsty is looked at as a negative. You're thirsty. It's looked at as a negative. But I'm just going to stand here and argue. I want to offer you that maybe being thirsty is not as bad as we all perceive it to be. So I'm trying to understand, I'm trying to help us to understand that Jesus being thirsty is just him expressing the fact that he needs something. He is in deficit at this moment, and he is in need of water or in need of a drink. And I like to argue that being in need is not necessarily a bad thing. Furthermore, being in need and expressing that you need something is not necessarily a bad thing, because how else could you get what you need unless you ask for what it is that you need? How is it that we can get equality and equity amongst races if groups like Black Lives Matter didn't speak out about a need and their thirst? How could we get justice for the abuses and injustices that happen against women if groups like Me Too did not speak out and express that there is a need? I like to express to you that maybe being thirsty is not the issue. Jesus stands on the cross and he says he is thirsty, and what they give him is sour wine. Maybe being thirsty is not the problem. Maybe it's what he receives as a result of expressing his thirst. That's the issue. See, sour wine, if we read this text and also the complementing text from the other Gospels, we'll see that it wasn't just wine, and it wasn't just the wine that the soldiers would drink in order to quench their thirst. It was the wine that was laced with what was called gall or myrrh. And this was a drink that was given to people who were in the process of being crucified, dying, and it was given to them to sedate them in order to expedite their death. Basically, it was a sedative given to them to make them okay enough with the fact that they're dying or that they're going through, that they'll just go ahead and get out the way so we can make happy hour at 6:30. So what I'm trying to argue is that maybe being thirsty wasn't the problem. Maybe being thirsty isn't our issue. Maybe it's what we receive as a result of our thirst that's the issue. I don't think it's a problem that you need attention. I think it's a problem of how you get that attention and what you do for that attention on Instagram. I don't think it's a problem that you need validation. I think it's the issue of how you get validation from your friends and people who don't even like you. I don't think it's a problem that you need love. I think it's an issue of how you get the love and where you get it from. Somebody won't even want to eat your mama. They won't even take you out in public. They won't meet your daddy or your cousin and them. Maybe being thirsty is not the issue. Maybe it's what you receive as a result of you expressing your thirst is the issue, because what you have been given is only a sedative. It's not fixing the underlying issue. What you've been giving me ain't helping me dealing with the stuff that I had to go through with my mama. And tell you what you've been giving me is not helping me understand why my daddy was never there. What you've been giving me is not helping me deal with the fact I never felt loved or accepted. The problem is not that I am in need, and the problem is what I have been getting is not sufficiently meeting my need. But I just stopped by to tell you this morning that it's all right to be thirsty, but you ought to be careful of where you get your thirst quenched. But if you are in fact thirsty, if you are in need of something, I'd like to argue this. I know somebody who can help you quench your thirst. You know the seasoned saints, they talk about them. I call them the Lowry's ministry because they're seasoned for all purposes. Look, the seasoned saints would say he is a river in the desert. He's water in a dry place. He's a bridge over troubled water. He's a mother when you're motherless. He's a father when you're fatherless. He's a sister when you're sisterless. He's a brother when you're brotherless. Whatever you need, God can quench your thirst. Have I got a witness in here? Well, if I got a witness in here, can you do me one favor and turn to your neighbor? No, I'm still looking at y'all, and y'all ain't got no neighbor. I said turn to your neighbor. Now I'm still waiting on 2 or 3 of y'all to find your one good neighbor. I said turn to your neighbor and to say, neighbor, whatever you need, God's got it, neighbor. Whatever you're going through, He's got the remedy, neighbor. No matter how thirsty you are, God's got water that can well up on the inside of you so that you will never thirst again. Come on,